All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals and Christmas shoppers. This is a ho 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 holiday special edition of of Pink Buzz, brought to you by Graphic Vandalism. This is our naughty or nice end of the year winter special. We are going to be actually, this is Joe's baby. I'm going to go ahead and let Joe kind of explain what we're going to be doing tonight. And
Yeah,
Merry Christmas, Norton Sinclair.
Dean's in the house. He's already here. Merry Christmas, Dean. All
Deanie
right,
weenie.
so naughty and nice. So we're doing our year end. It's kind of like a year in review best of what we enjoyed the most of 2021. But we figured, it's the end of the year. Everyone does a year end best of, tops, whatever. We thought we'd put a little holiday twist on it and make it like kind of a Christmas thing and do a naughty and nice list. So we're going to sound off on all the things we liked and like one little thing we might have not liked or been disappointed with, or even we could put a little twist on the naughty part and be like, it's naughty but in a good way. So we'll run down our list and you'll more or less get the idea pretty quick.
Yes, indeed. And we've been at this all week. Me and Joe kind of put a lot of effort into this episode, so it's going to be pretty groovy. But before we get into the categories at hand, we have a check-in. And Goose, what'd you get for Christmas, you silly bastard?
I don't have it next to me. I had to put it under my bed because Orion kept on wanting to play with it, but I got a super sick Chun-Li Huff skateboard, and it is. Also, not just that, my grandma got me this because every year she gets me a little toy, and I love the skateboard a lot. But she got me this thing, and it's a little like wooden thing, and it's got these Velcro axes, and they stick, and so you just hang it up on the wall and throw axes at it. And I know it sounds dumb, but it's actually pretty therapeutic. I bought myself some stuff
I've
for.
noticed that that's a very popular thing. They actually have a little pub here in the town that I live in that's called Chucking Axes, and yeah, that's kind of a thing that like I guess people are watch Lord of the Rings and really want to be the dwarfs or something. Like I want to throw axes at shit. Like it's an actual cultural phenomenon at this point.
Well, one viral video of Jason Momoa throwing hatchets, and then they spring up all over the country.
Amen to that, brother. What else you get?
Oh, but not just that. I got myself some stuff for Christmas. I know I showed you guys the other day. I should have fished it off the shelf. I'm looking at it now. I got a Kickstarter that I forgot I had ordered, and it was that Excellence hardcover, and it kicked the shit out of its stretch goals. And so it came with like the gilded edges in red, and it's got the foil cover and back part. And
Merry Christmas, Mother Goose.
Oh yeah, wait, what?
Mrs. Goose's mom.
Mother
Merry
Goose.
Christmas.
Mother Goose is in the house.
It's my mom's here.
Dude, the shiny red pages really had me jealous. I was just like, dude, that's sexy. It's got shiny red pages. That is a sexy book.
It's got a lot of back matter too, and not even like a lot of the times you get like a couple of interviews and stuff, but they give you the script for the whole like first two issues. Or it's the first and one of the other issues, and then like all the art from concept to like finish. So once I finished issue 10, I think there was another like 120 pages of just like back matter, and it was really neat. The story was really great. I thought it was relevant and. I guess tongue-in-cheek is the word, but it was really great. Plus, I got that Tricovy stuff in, which was rad. I'm still waiting on my my zombie date night, but once that comes in, I'll be pretty stoked for it too.
The neat thing about the Tricovy coming in is 4 different people from basically 4 different countries all got theirs in the same 24-hour period. I got mine in America. Joe got his in Canada, Richard got his in England, and Goose got his in Texas, which I don't care what he tries to tell me that Texas ain't America.
No, it's its own country. Oh,
It
also, Speaking of rad shit, I did finally get the go ahead from the people that I ordered it from online, and I will be getting What's the Furthest Place from Here physical copy with the deluxe one with the LP with the record. It is on its way to me now, and I can't I still haven't read it. I've been waiting to get it in my hands, and so I'm super pumped for it.
I do gotta say, I agree with this, man. Our buddy Elle, she is the personification of both naughty and nice. It's a shame she couldn't be here with us tonight. It would have probably been a lot funnier of an episode, but oh well. Maybe there's always next year. You know what I mean? We could get like her and Surge over. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she's working
Eggnog.
on their year-end listing for tomorrow for their show. So I think she's going to be pretty busy tonight.
Oh yeah, I tried to tell you guys, man. Putting these year-end best of shows together, it's work, man, and they don't go well most of the time. So I wish them luck. I hope theirs goes very well. But Joey,
Merry Christmas, Randy, and other Mel. I mean. All right. So what did I get under the Christmas tree? Well, I got tons of shit came in the mail. So we'll start. The creators of Darling sent me a bunch of variant covers. We got the Mahout. Got I don't know who this one is. Michelli cover, and I haven't had the chance to open them because I've been busy. So I got my Zombie Date Night came in. Spanky sent me something all the way from England. Citizen Jack. Sam Humphries trade. I got the hardcover for 1 and 2 of Paper Girls. My sister got me that for Christmas. My mom got me the 3 volumes of The Floating Classroom. So
that's good stuff right there.
Yeah, I can't wait to hit that. That was actually something that came up on the Discord that Juan was talking about. So I looked a little deeper into it, and it sounded pretty cool. And I did get my Tricovia as well, like you guys mentioned. So I got the little vinyl. And I splurged for the action figure on that one, so I got that, and that pretty much sums up my my Christmas haul, man. It was a good haul this year. I'm really happy. Got a lot of good books.
Yeah. Aside from getting the Iron Man robot heart for Christmas, I got myself the second book of Homesick Pilots, which I haven't read yet, but I'm really excited to. I got book 10 of Deadly Class, which straight up made me cry like a 6-year-old with a skin knee. Like, oh my god, does that book just get so emotional at some points, man? Like, Rick kills me. He knows how to murder me in my emotions, and I love him for it. And tomorrow, hopefully, according to what the mail says, and if Louis DeJoy doesn't screw me over like always, I should be getting my copy of Darling that Joe got me for Christmas, and finally be reading that masterpiece, which I am super excited for. It's one of the things I want to read the most. And Goose, what the fuck do you have right there, man? Is that a Bob's Big Boy or something? Like, that is creeping me out, buddy. I'm not even able to concentrate right now. Burn it! Get rid of it! What?
He made a wish that Orion would stay like a little toddler forever, and this is what happened from making his Christmas wish, his cursed Christmas wish. What is that though? Seriously.
He's just gonna twist its head around and mess with you. Like, we're not getting an answer from Hair Goose.
Oh, my mic has been muted this whole time. Oh shit, my bad, my bad, guys. I've been over here trying to explain. He is a character from a TV show called Coco Melon that my son loves. This is one of my son's Christmas presents, and I even said, "Look, his head spins all the way around like Linda Blair's," and yeah, no, he's creepy as shit. But isn't he great?
Yeah,
don't you love him?
No, burn it.
Okay, it stings.
Yeah, get rid of it.
with a slight distortion that comes off Goose's mic too, it makes it sound even more disturbing.
Yeah, it sounds like something Nicolas Cage would beat up. You know what I mean? Something Nicolas Cage would have to fight in a movie.
Oh my god! Did I not tell y'all that I made my grandmother and my aunt watch Willy's Wonderland on Thanksgiving?
I think you mentioned your aunt. You made your aunt watch it, and she kind of dug it.
It was my aunt and my grandmother, and it was such a good time. And the whole time the movie's going on, I was like, yeah, they're going to love this. And then it got to the real awkward sex scene. And I was just like, oh, man. Sorry, Mima and Aunt Darlene. But they enjoyed it. They kept on asking why Nicolas Cage didn't speak and why he didn't why he was playing pinball and drinking the soda. And I was like, you can find out all of our interesting theories if you'd watch Pink Buzz. And then my grandma asked what's the YouTubes, and so
that ended the
Oh
conversation.
yeah, no. You do not want to introduce the elderly to YouTube. It's the best. Even if she could possibly be a fan of ours, the rabbit hole she could fall down on this website. It's not worth it. So go ahead and leave her in her bliss. And that's my advice.
She can read her Debbie Maycomber books and watch Lifetime Movie Network all day and just forget about YouTubes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But man, we got some killer stuff to talk about. Joe, you want to kind of introduce our first category and get us ready for what we're going to get into?
So we picked several different categories: shows, movies, publisher, Kickstarter, characters, writers, artists, and our favorite comics. And we're going to be starting this off with our favorite shows of the year. And maybe one show that we're like, they missed the mark. So we're going to let Goose kick it off with the category shows.
Am I going to go through all of mine and then we switch to one of y'all, or?
Yeah. You go through your shows.
You go through your shows. We'll go through our shows and then, yeah.
Okay. So for my three nice shows this year that I really enjoyed, I think number 3 is going to be Cowboy Bebop, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I've got an explanation. The show itself wasn't bad. It was more than I expected, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was at least entertaining. While a lot of people had complaints about it, I did enjoy, especially the first episode, which set me up kind of for failure because they did the Asimov episode with the bloody eye, and I thought that was great. And it was good to me. I thought it was okay. However, moving on to my other one, it hasn't concluded yet, but season 15 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has been pretty great. Me and Dakota watched episodes 6 and 7 last night, 7 and 8 last night, and it got pretty brutal. The last episode that we watched, where they were trying to take, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it got pretty brutal. It's been really good. But my favorite show of this year has been I Think You Should Leave Volume 2. It is quite possibly the funniest thing. God damn. Yeah, no, me and Dakota have been quoting this show since it came out a little earlier this year. Tim Robinson was a writer on SNL for a while, and he was in a couple of skits, but it's basically him, and it's produced by him and the guys that do The Lonely Island, and it's just this. It's this really surreal kind of obsessed humor that just makes me laugh so hard. I've watched the second season so many times, and every time I crack up until my sides hurt. It's probably my favorite show. But then moving on to my naughty show of the year, if it sounds familiar, it is also Cowboy Bebop, because while I've got so many good things to say, I've got way more bad things to say. However, the worst thing that I can say is we didn't give the show enough of a chance to see a season fucking 2. And so no matter what the show built up to or what our complaints were or what we liked about it, it doesn't fucking matter. because we're never going to see anything else. So love it or hate it, this is what we're fucking stuck with. Whether it be, and like I said, I enjoyed it well enough. I'd like to see it explored more, but I think the absolute outcry on social media and the review bombings and stuff that go on, I think Netflix, who prioritizes profits, which is totally okay, knew that a season 2 would draw more ire than it would views, which fair enough. But it's one of those things I would have liked to have seen explored more. And I think they did okay with a season 1, but I think if they had something to adapt, you had 26 original episodes of Cowboy Bebop in which you could just literally do those. Same script, you don't have to rewrite nothing, you don't have to redo nothing. You've got the technology. Just remake that shit, make it live action, and they failed to fucking do that. I thought I was in for a surprise when, like I said, I enjoyed the Asimov episode, the very first episode. I thought it was weird introducing Faye as early on as they did, but I was like, okay, well, I get it. They're only going to have probably 10 episodes. Let's get the ball rolling. Then they didn't even introduce fucking Ed until the last episode. What the fuck was that? Did you guys watch it? Did
Yeah.
you guys see Ed?
Dude, it didn't have a chance from the beginning.
I know.
Nobody was going to like it. You know what I mean? It was never going to get picked up and run for a long time. But the thing is it wasn't really the problem. Isn't really they had a great cast. They had good production to it. Some of it did look cheap, but in kind of a cute way, in kind of a '90s trash way. So it felt good. It was the things they tried to add to localize it, to westernize it, like giving Jett a family and a stupid ass kid, that really ruined the show. And having the worst bad guy ever, dude. Like giving Vicious a backstory and making him a whiny little crybaby. Like they emasculated him and they just made him pathetic. And I guess it was to make Julia tougher, but she was pathetic and horrible too. So like that's where the show failed. And I
Well,
don't want a season 2. I'm fine with it just ending the way it did because
that
fuck that show.
that's
There are
fair,
worse
but
things I've seen this year, but it was not good.
no, and that was one of my big complaints was like, and it's one of the same complaints that I have for like when DC did like the Long Halloween or when they did Hush and they didn't use the like art style from the books, like, and I don't even care. I think that they captured the essence of the Cowboy Bebop like aesthetic, but that's not the whole thing. Like
For
they had
moments,
20.
for like moments, but then they let it go. Like the problem with the show is you'd be watching, you'd be like, "Oh wow, that's actually a really cool idea," and then they do something else, and you'd just be like, "Okay, they just fucking ruined everything I thought was cool about it." Like, how do you guys do that constantly? Switch it back and forth from being like, "Wow, that's almost innovative," to like, "Get off my screen right now." I mean, and that show jumps back and forth like that the entire 10 episodes.
And that was my thing. The reason it was in my top 3 for nice was because it had a nostalgia factor to it, and there were parts that, like you said, I saw and I was like, "Oh my god, like this is awesome!" And then there was parts where I was like, "This is dragging the fuck on, and I'm not enjoying it." And so it hit the naughty list because you have such a great show with great origins that they could have picked from and narrowed it down, because I mean 26 episodes, they could have gotten 16, 17 episodes of live action and covered the whole story if they do them in their little hour-long episodes. But they decided to go a different route, and it ruined it for me. Now, like I said, I would have liked to have seen it explored more, but I don't think I would have liked to have seen that team explore it more. Like the cast, yeah, but not the direction they chose. So that's why I hit my naughty list.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
I didn't even finish it. I think I'm on episode 6 or 7. Anyway, it like you said, it does drag at parts. I was watching it with Pat, and Pat's like, you can watch it by yourself if you want.
Bless her heart.
She kind of bailed after episode 3 or 4.
That's
I
She
think
was,
I
she
think
was like,
Dakota did the same thing.
she's like,
Bailed
that
after
that's
a
a
couple
when you're alone
episodes.
show, you know. It turned into a when Joe's alone show, and I did a few more, and then I still haven't gone back to it and finished it. So I could totally see why it makes your naughty list.
yeah. And hopping on over to my list, we got first up for nice. I have Creep Show Season 3. This was recommended to me by a good fan of the friend of the show, Mel. She told me about how good it was, and I have Shudder, so I decided to check it out. And the third season is arguably my favorite. There is an animated episode that is just phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite like cartoon horror things I've ever seen, and I really can't put enough oomph into how just cool of a anthology horror show Creep Show is. It nails what the original film had going for it. It's always got a fun cast. You might not have the biggest stars, but you'll recognize at least somebody from each episode, and that's always a cool thing to have. Next up for me, this one is a really funny show and one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life at the same time. Reservation Dogs. This is such a beautiful, wonderful story that I didn't even know was coming out until it was actually out. But I really loved it. I am part native myself, and to just see a story that focuses on the plight of young indigenous people in America, it was really touching, and I really liked the kind of surreal elements to the show and just the oddness of it. I think that it really nailed what it was going for, and it's a must watch for anybody that's interested in kind of funny crime dramas because it's it's one of a kind, like Res movies themselves are. You know what I mean? My top pick for favorite show that I've seen is probably going to have to go to Brand New Cherry Flavor. Like this is the WTF show of like the millennium. Like I don't even know what to really think or say about it, but it's glorious in all its kind of grotesque, surreal wonder. It's like a Maria Lovett meets Dan Waters comic with a lot of David Lynch poured into it, and it's great. But you have to have a strong stomach because there's a lot of really gross out stuff in it. But um, it's hilarious at the same time. I can't recommend Brand New Cherry Flavor enough. And this is going to get me in so much hot water, and it's probably going to clear out the entire viewership of the episode. But my naughty is Hawkeye. Oh my God. Is this the most terrible thing I tried to watch all year? Like, I'm not even the biggest fan of the character Kate Bishop. I think she's fine. But what they did to her on this show, making her a bumbling buffoon that can't walk through a door without falling down, like Chris Farley or something, I'm like, why? I don't want to get into it. But yeah, no. Hawkeye, so naughty, and not in a good way. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Johnny, I wanted to add in. Me and Dakota started Res Dogs last night, and we were sitting there because we were looking for something to watch, and I knew it was on your list, and I started it, and it is a fantastic fucking show. I think we watched 2 episodes of it. Yeah, we were giggling pretty hard at it. What got me was when he gets shot up in the first episode with the paintballs when that nuke rides in, and it's like the whole platoon scene, and he's just fucking like shaking and shit. I was cracking up. And then the two little twins, dude.
Oh, their rap song's tight though, dude. Yeah, they're the little rapping twins. Yeah, those guys, their flow is fucking sick. Yeah.
Oh, dude, no.
Where can you stream that? What is that on?
It's on FX, so it's probably going to be hard for you to find.
Damn it! Why do FX have to have so many good shows, man?
Because FX has the movies, bro.
I mean, I'm gonna sue you for that, dude. I'm gonna sue you in France.
but no, Res Dogs was good. And about your naughty, I watched WandaVision, but I have not watched a Disney Plus like MCU show since WandaVision because I tried to watch Loki and wasn't into it. I watched the first episode of Hawkeye and was like, nah, I'm not into this, and I just like moved on. So, and I love the Matt Fraction and David Aja. Is it Aja or Aja? I don't know how to.
Aja is how I've always heard it pronounced.
Same. Yeah, that's what I thought. Pay David Aja, by the way. But no, it was. I like that book, but the show just.
Nutty and Nice is here. What is up, L?
Merry Christmas, Fred. Merry Christmas, L. Hope you guys had a good Christmas with your families today.
Yeah, 2 fleas on a dog, yeah.
2 fleas on a dog. Hmm.
All right, Joey.
All right, you can just throw them up on the screen, and I don't have any particular order for my three. I like pretty much everything that I put on there, so doesn't matter. All right, Ted Lasso. This is a show that I refused to watch for the longest time because I don't know. And then everyone's talking about how it was good, and I watched this with Pat, and man, we got hooked. Like we burnt through this in like a week, 2 seasons of Ted Lasso in 1 week. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it does everything, man. And Jason Sudeikis, man, he's great in this. Like I really liked him when he first like in the beginning of his career. Then it kind of tailed off, but man, he's so lovable in this show. It's definitely I can't recommend it enough to anyone. Like it's a good, fun show to watch. I think the episodes are 20 minutes each. I don't think it's an hour show, so it's good just like quick watch, like here and there.
He's
So I
the
mean,
Finding Sarah Marshall guy, right?
No. He was
Horrible
in We're the
Bosses.
Millers.
Okay.
Yeah, Horrible Bosses, Hall Pass,
We're the Millers.
We're the
Don't
Millers.
know
Yeah,
where the Millers.
yeah.
I drink Coors, man. I don't drink anything.
And that's an Apple, and because Pat bought herself an iPhone, so we got Apple TV free for a year. So I was like, we got to start watching some Apple shows, because we got it for free. So that's kind of what made me cave and watch it, and I do not regret it. It was awesome. Loved it. Next up, another Apple TV show is Servant. I really enjoyed this show. Basically, it's about a family that hires a nanny. But what happened is the mother is going through some kind of psychosis because of a. Anyway, it's not a big spoiler because they give it away right off after the first episode, but from a crib death, and she still thinks her baby's alive because they use a what do you call it, like a fake baby to help her work through her trauma, and they actually hire a nanny to come help her take care of this fake baby. Anyway, it goes from there, and the husband's a chef, so there's a lot of cooking in it, which I really dig, and they incorporate like the culinary part into the story parts really well, and I really dug it, man. It's really awesome for that. I couldn't get enough of it, and it's like a thriller suspense with like just a little hint of horror, like not too much, but it's more thriller suspense. It's really good, and that's also on Apple TV. And man, I highly recommend anyone go watch it. It's pretty creepy. They put M. Night Shyamalan's name on it, but he almost has nothing to do with it. I think he's just a producer. It's another guy who's the creator, writer, and I think he directed some of the episodes too. I can't remember his name offhand, but so if you're like, oh, you're like kind of hesitant because Shyamalan's part of it, I think he's just there in the role of producer. Creatively, I don't think he has that much to do with it. There's another showrunner who does everything. He writes and he does a great job. So
Yeah,
you should go.
it's like how Bryan Singer like put money into House, or like how like Ridley Scott like funds shows all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like they're not like their shows. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really good. There's 2 seasons of that, and we went through that pretty quick too, the 2 seasons. And I think just starting in the new year, I think season 3 is supposed to start airing. So looking forward to the 3rd season of that as well. And next we have, yes, Arcane. If I had to pick one above everything else, I think I'd have to go with Arcane. This was off a recommendation from Johnny. I was not going to watch this because, I don't know, video game adaptations are not my thing normally, but man, was this good. They just nailed it. Like, you don't have to know anything about the video game to enjoy this. It's based off a video game. Was it the League of Legends, right?
League of Legends, yes sir.
League of Legends. And man, like by the end of episode 3, I was hooked. It's great. The characters are wonderful. You have a character named Jinx who's just a phenomenal, I want to say antagonist, protagonist. It's very gray. Like, I don't think you could say one person is a hero or a villain in this. It's very layered. It's really good. Like, the way they develop the characters, the world, it's fantastic. I mean, the action in it, the animation is great, the style, the mood, like it's top notch all the way through. I can't say anything negative about this show at all. Netflix definitely has a big hit on their hands with this. And my naughty, well, like Goose mentioned, Loki kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth for all things superhero related, and I've been having a hard time getting back into watching anything that has to do with superhero adaptations to either shows or movies, especially after I watched this. We struggled to finish it. There's maybe 2 episodes we enjoyed out of the, I think it's 6 or 7. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I really did not enjoy it. Not because the acting wasn't like the acting was good. I just don't know. It just, they missed the mark. The actors did their job. The performances were good. It was just the pacing, the plot. Like I felt it just missed its mark, especially at the end. That fucking never-ending monologue by Conquer Khan or whatever the fuck his name is. Anyway, he has a monologue that lasts about 45 minutes of the episode, and the episode's 50 minutes. It was like, fuck, get over it, dude. I mean, it was the worst season finale I've ever seen in my life. And I don't give a shit what the reveal is. That was a garbage season finale. And I love the actor who was playing him. Just the poor choices as far as I'm concerned, creatively on this show. Yeah. So, yeah.
That would have been my pick if Hawkeye didn't come out. So, yeah. I feel you.
Yeah, that monologue at the end of the season finale was just ridiculous and too long. I almost turned it off. I was like, I almost didn't even finish the last episode. I was like, fuck off, man. Yeah, so that's it. Those are my naughty and nice lists for shows.
All right, and what are we doing next, Joey?
All right, next up will be the movies category. So we'll let Goose kick it off once again in the movies category.
Muted.
God damn it. Every time I do this when I'm playing D&D, I do this on here. So for my nice shows, or my nice movies, I have Godzilla versus King Kong, which I don't care how you felt about it. I enjoyed it. I watched it 2 or 3 times right after it came out. It was great. I thought that they really kind of nailed it. I liked them two fighting the bastards in the ocean, and then them going through the portal in the north to go inside the earth. I thought it was very fun, and I had a good time with it. I don't know if you guys liked it, but I enjoyed it a whole lot. But I also didn't watch too many new movies this year, and so I'm sure there were better ones, but Godzilla vs. Kong was a pretty solid one for me. And moving on from that one, another HBO Max one that I skipped the theaters and watched on there was Mortal Kombat. I thought it was a super fun watch. I thought it was interesting them bringing in a new character as the main character, which if I'd have known from the jump, I would have thought wouldn't have worked. But adding in a new character like they did, and having him kind of take the focus, and having the main characters that we're used to be kind of, I wouldn't say background characters, but not the main focus. And I thought that was real cool. Plus, it was just a badass fight. It had some badass fight scenes. I think it's at the end when you finally hear like the slow motion Mortal Kombat like theme song in the background, just the dun 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 dun. No, I enjoyed it a whole lot. And then my other one, which Johnny said he wasn't too big of a fan of, was No Time to Die, which I've been a huge James Bond fan. My grandfather has too. We've gone and seen most of the movies in theaters since like one of the Pierce Brosnan ones in 1999. And so we went and saw it in theaters, and all the way up until the end, I absolutely loved it. The end like had me and my grandfather looking at each other sideways because we didn't we didn't like the ending. But up until then, the movie's awesome. The main focus is not the badass car chases or anything like that, but Anna de Armas, who plays a vital role for about 20, 30 minutes in the movie. And it is definitely one of the highlights of the movie. But I thought that the way it ended was upsetting, especially because I don't think James Bond would give up that easily, but I do like the situation that the villain put him in. I thought that was a pretty diabolical fucking scheme. You find out that he has some people to take care of now, and he can't even fucking be around them or they'll die. And it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. And then my naughty movie is not naughty because it was bad, but naughty because of how it makes me feel for enjoying it, and that is Malignant.
It's the best movie on your list. So yeah,
Thank you, Johnny. It is. It is. I watched it, and the whole time, like I think Dakota had it figured out about halfway through, and we
She
were
knew she
watching
had a
it.
butt crack monster on the back of her head. Wow,
I
she's good. I didn't see that one coming, and I'm usually pretty good at fucking spotting twists.
No, it got to a certain point, and I think the mention of like the millennium, she was like, no, she was like, he's running backwards. She was like, I think that's her. Like, I don't think she got the butthole monster on the back of the head. Like,
Butt crack, not butthole. No.
uh, it's the same thing. Okay, well, yeah, she says she did get the butt crack monster from like midway through the movie because I think she said it to me, and I was like, no, if that's how it's gonna go, I'm fucking over this shit. And then like you got the jailhouse scene, which was also fucking naughty. The movie wasn't bad at all. It was one of my
It was
favorites.
terrible. Yeah, no, it wasn't bad.
It was one of my favorite. It was one of my favorites of the year, and that's the reason why I got on my naughty list is because it's a movie that shouldn't be on anybody's list because it's a dumb concept and a stupid idea, and the whole movie was goofy and dumb and campy. But that's what made it work. If they'd have tried to take a serious tone with this movie, I don't think it would have worked. But they went the way they did. Oh, was James Wan? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does the Conjuring and all that. I'm glad he didn't take that tone with this because I enjoyed the movie a whole lot for how stupid and fucking ridiculous it was. But it was a stupid fucking movie, and that's why I got on my naughty list.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoy it for what it is, but not much. First up for me, I have Kate. This is it's a Netflix movie, right, Joe?
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Right,
Netflix movie.
starring my homegirl Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and dude, she is just rocking the shit in this movie. It's
Yeah.
probably one of the best. Like, I'm out for revenge, and I'm gonna kill anything that gets in my way because I'm about to die. Movies I've seen. It definitely shits all over No Time to Die for a movie where you're like, that like the main character is gonna die in it, but like you're watching it, and you're actually concerned, and you actually care about the story of the film. You're not just watching it to see how stupid the death scene is. So yeah, no, this movie hits really hard. I even like the crazy little Asian girl that's in it that she's taken care of. The fights are epic, especially the
Yes.
one in the tea house. Oh man, and I like how the more sick she gets, the more beat up she is. By the end of the film, the more attractive Mary Elizabeth Winstead gets throughout the film. It's kind of off-putting in a way, but I don't know. I dig it. By the end, she's just got these glasses on. She's got a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. She's walking into this place with like two MP5s, and she's gonna wreck some shit. And you're just like, yeah, girl, you go get it. You go get it. And yeah, Kate is awesome. I can't recommend it highly enough. It is one of the best films you could watch this year.
Yeah.
Next up for me, I have The Spine of Night. This is a rotoscoped animated film. It is made like the old Ralph Bakshi movies, like Wizards or Fire and Ice, but it is done with new school like technology and grace. So it's really smooth. It's very, very beautiful. It shows you what like those old '70s animated movies could look like if the time and effort got put into them, and it just shines. It's one of the greatest fantasy things I've seen in a long time. definitely one of the best things I've seen all year. And if you like really kind of just trippy, out of your mind, insane gore fests, yeah, Spine and Night you can't go wrong with. It is just a total blast from start to finish. And then my top pick for the year is The Show, written by Alan Moore. And this was going to be very interesting for me, no matter how it's sliced, because Alan Moore has talked a lot of shit about the film industry over the past decade or so. And I wanted to see how a film made by him would pan out. And he nailed it, man. He blended a lot of stuff together. There's some old school Kenneth Anger experimental film stuff in here. There's some David Lynch, a lot of David Lynch. There's some classic noir, and it all just weaves together, and it tells this just creepy, insane story about this Zen Buddhist hitman going up against dream demons. And I can't put enough emphasis in, dude, check out The Show by Alan Moore. It is so good. It is so badass, and I love Alan Moore, so anything I can do to recommend him. And it shouldn't surprise anybody, but my naughty film is No Time to Die. Much like Goose, I grew up watching James Bond. I never really had an affinity for him, though. My dad always really liked him, and I would watch James Bond with my dad. And I never cared much for him until the Daniel Craig one, until I saw Casino Royale, and I really started picking up and liking the Sam Mendes version of the character. And I like all of the movies in the Daniel Craig saga, and even Quantum of Solace. I don't care what people say about it. I think it's a very solid film. Of course, Skyfall's the best, but this is such a pathetic bow at the end of it. I'm glad that Goose brought up the Pierce Brosnan one movies, because this one is worse than those. Remy Malik, who is one of the greatest actors that's out right now, he does not perform well in this film. He is misused. He is miscast. He's barely even in the damn thing. And yeah, skip. I mean, if you like James Bond, I don't see how you could like this film. I don't even like James Bond, and I didn't like this movie, but that's just me. Goose, you got a retort for me, or you gonna let me get away with that?
No, I'm gonna let you get away with it only because like I like a lot of shit stuff, and so it's very
like Mortal Kombat. The new Mortal Kombat. Like, yeah, you don't.
I didn't watch that many movies this year. Like, I was always either out on the road, and like I barely have Wi-Fi at the house, and so I read a fuck ton this year, but I didn't watch too many movies, and so at least not new ones.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I didn't watch too many movies.
Dakota's over here, and she says, except for The Matrix, which was shitty. And I was just like, yeah, we both didn't enjoy it.
All right, Joey, you ready?
All right, yeah. Put her up there. Let's see what I got on my nice list. All right, Suicide Squad. This movie kind of redeemed a little bit of my faith in superhero movies. Don't go in thinking you're going to get anything original here. It's James Gunn. It's a James Gunn movie. It's done the James Gunn way. Basically, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, but with Suicide Squad. It's the exact same format. So if you dug Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll dig Suicide Squad, because he does the exact same thing, right? Groot. It's this big brooding character. He gets Vin Diesel just to barely say any lines, right? The same thing. You got King Shark. They get Stallone to do the voice. He barely has any lines.
Nom.
Yeah. So it's James Gunn just taking Guardians of the Galaxy, walking across the street to DC and planting his flag in a DC film. That's basically what it is, but he does it so well, and I enjoyed it. It was a really fun movie. All right, next.
I want to hear you talk about this one, because you hadn't watched it last time we spoke. And
no, I just watched it actually yesterday. So at the last minute, I went and sent you this pick. All right, so I've heard a lot of people talk about this movie, especially anyone who follows
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster on Twitter loves this movie. She even has it as her banner on her bio page on Twitter. And, I guess we could say it's the year of Nicolas Cage, because, there's so many movies coming out with him, and not just a lot, but they're all pretty decent movies. And this one is no exception. basically it's a retired chef who has a truffle pig, and that someone wants to steal the truffle pig because of he sells truffles to these people in the city, and there's like this anyway, almost like mafia underground about truffle hunting, and anyway, so wants to get his pig back, goes to the city. Anyway, it's that's pretty much the basic of it, and so it's like the king returning to the city because he was like the best chef ever. He has all this respect, so and he was living in seclusion in the woods, and now he's back to the city. So it's like boom, this guy's back, and you go into his past a little bit, and it's really like a really, how could you say that, a subdued performance by Nick Cage, but done so well. Like it's not this him overacting over the top. It's really a subtle, very quiet kind of Nick Cage, who's really like just and he just does it perfectly. This is what I love about him. He can do this over the top wacky stuff, but then he can come and give you a performance like this where it's really understated, and it's in the subtleties of it too. Like it's fantastic. I loved it. And, I brought it up in my shows. There's a lot of culinary aspects to it that are handled extremely well in this movie. And they just nail home how food affects a large majority of us emotionally. Like how we have so many things that happen in our lives can be attached to food. And they really nail it home in this movie. Like how we connect to our memories and emotions through just like comfort food. Like why do we love certain foods? Because our mother made it for us when we were a kid, and and when we eat it, it's like we go into this safe place, a fun memory, like it's your safe zone, your comfort zone, and they do a fantastic job of depicting that in this movie, and the performances are great across the board. And man, I was really, really surprised. Like usually when I go into a movie that's had hype, I usually like it less, but this one had some hype, and I was going into it, and I liked it just as much, if not more. So it was a great movie. I'd highly recommend anyone go watch that movie. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm really happy you watched it and liked it. I figured you would if you gave it a shot, because it blew me away. I didn't know what to think when I was going into it. So a lot of people are like, it's John Wick with the pig, but like it's really not. You know what I mean?
No,
It's kind
it's
of
not that
about
at all.
him
There's
making.
no action.
Yeah.
There's like
well, there's
no
one. There's one
it's
scene
not
with
even
the yeah.
it's not even really action. It's
He just gets beat up. Yeah.
yeah. So it's great. I'd highly recommend it to anyone, especially if you're a Nick Cage fan. Like go watch this. It's great. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up, a repeat name, but this time it made a nice list on two of ours. Kate. I gotta say, man, Netflix with their action flicks have been doing a fantastic job with action movies, and Kate is no exception. What sold me on this movie is, of course, the main protagonist is just a badass, man. She's awesome, and they make her look like Sigourney Weaver in Alien. They give her that look with the white tank top with the little jacket, and she's a tough ass. The haircut's the same. So they give her the Sigourney Weaver makeover, which I fucking dug. And that in the restaurant, the little sake restaurant or bar or whatever, where she goes in, and then you have that hand-to-hand combat fight sequence is just so good, so good. If you dig action flicks, man, you got to go watch this. And the car chase scene is it's so good too. I love
that
it.
car is so awesome. Like I was just like, dude, she joined the 4th Street Saints. It was so Saints Row because it like lights up, it's bright purple, and I'm just like, dude, that is so gangster, man. I want that car.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's stylistically, the movie is really cool too. Like it's really well done, and the choreography of all the action scenes is fantastic. The acting is solid. Woody Harrelson's in it, so if you dig him, he's in this movie. So yeah, man. That's definitely a recommend for me. I was gonna maybe put a different movie on because I knew you put it on, but I figure this one deserves, because I never hear anyone talk about this movie, so I think it deserves to get like an extra mention to try to get people onto it, because it's definitely worth your time. It's definitely worth a watch. So, man, people, you should go watch that. It's pretty damn good. Yeah.
Amen to
All
that.
right. I think that's it, right? That's my nice list. Now it's off to my naughty. All right. I don't want to come off as a Marvel hater here. I don't hate on Marvel, but man, their shows and their movies just they just all feel the same. Like it doesn't feel like I'm ever getting anything original anymore from them. Like not since maybe I dug the first Avengers movie and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, and everything after Avengers, and with the exception of maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, some of those other earlier movies, but after that, I feel like it's just not nonsense, but it's just dull. Like they're not bad movies, they're not great, but man, I don't want to sit through 3 hours of just an average movie, right? My ass gets numb, and I just can't handle it. And Shang-Chi started off good. I dug the first half, and then it just falls off for me. Like I put this on because my nephew was over, and I was like, "Oh, you want to watch? We'll watch. Have you seen Shang-Chi?" He's like, "No." So he is there, and my sister got there, so we got maybe halfway or a little bit past halfway. So he came back another time. I was like, "You want to finish that movie?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "Nah, I don't want to." He's like, "I don't. I'm not interested in finishing it." So I was like, "Fuck." Even my little nephew who enjoys Marvel movies was like, "Yeah, no, it was a pass." So fuck, man. Like even 11-year-olds are passing on Marvel movies now. Like, come on,
I liked his
you gotta
sister in
step up
it.
your game.
I thought his sister was pretty badass, but yeah.
I
Yeah,
I didn't watch the Black Widow movie, but I watched Shang-Chi, and I did. I think me and Dakota both liked it. It was good. It wasn't. I hadn't watched an Avenger or not an Avengers, but a Marvel movie since Endgame came out. But I
yeah.
like Shang-Chi. I thought it was different from what you normally see at Marvel.
I like the first half. Like I said, I dug the earlier parts of it, and then I don't know. I kind of fell off a little bit, and I don't know. I think a lot of these movies are just way too long for me, and they go into these lulls, and you just lose me, right? I'm like fuck, and then I just lose interest, and I start playing on my phone, and that's it. They you got to keep my attention, motherfuckers, if you want me to enjoy this movie. Don't make it 3 hours and give me like fucking half an hour of just like where it just falls off and you get bored with it, because I'll just grab my phone and start scrolling on Twitter and shit, and
I will say
chatting
though,
with everyone.
it had one of my favorite endings of a Marvel movie ever, where it's back to them sitting at the
Yeah.
restaurant with their friend from college and her husband, and they're all talking, and her friends look at him like they're crazy, and then what's his name comes through the
Wong.
portal, and yeah, Wong comes through the portal, and he's like, "We need your help," and like everybody's just like staring at him, and he's like, "Well, guess we gotta go." Like, I thought that was super super funny. I enjoyed it a whole
It
lot.
was
But
that part was good. Yeah, like I mean, it had parts that were good to it, but it
Yeah,
was
Ben
very
Kingsley was great in it too. I mean, I'm with Joe. It
yeah.
had moments. I liked the dragon fight. I mean, there were parts, but I mean, there was a lot
But
to it that you're just kind of like, what the fuck am I
this is
sitting through?
this is where I have an issue with movies now. It's almost like Hollywood has fired all the editors, like all the film editors. Like it's like they all got fired from Hollywood, and nothing ends up on the cutting room floor anymore. And I find movies like film editors help the pacing of a movie. Like they're there, okay, this is kind of unnecessary, and they just help a movie with the pacing. That's what a film editor's job is. And I just feel like either there's no more good ones, or they don't use them, or I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on in Hollywood anymore, but I think film editing has been a lost art, and they need to kind of bring it back.
we'll talk about what's wrong with Hollywood in Pink Buzz After Dark, which you can get through our Patreon.
Mm,
That's an
but not
idea.
but not unlike Goose, I didn't watch as many movies, so I had a much smaller selection to pick from this year for myself. So, like, it was a much more narrowed view of my movies this year,
Well,
because I don't know.
we didn't really get that much either. I mean, because
No,
we're
and a
still
lot
in
of it,
lockdown in a lot of ways. So,
but I
I
I think in 2020 we got a lot of movies that went straight to VOD, right? Because everything was on lockdown. So I got to see a lot more movies that I normally, because I don't go to the theater. And it's not a
Yeah, but those
pandemic
were
thing.
already made and stuff. The thing was, is like they rushed to
Yeah,
put out like all the stuff they had, and then
yeah.
like now they're like having to actually make movies to try to get people to watch them again.
But then, I mean, in 2021, they took out, especially in Quebec, they got rid of the restrictions. Movie theaters opened again, so a lot of studios did like, especially in Quebec, it's really popular, the in theater only. We have to wait a month to get it streaming, whereas you guys in the States, often it was you could stream, it's released in theaters and streaming at the same time. But in Quebec, we didn't get as many movies like that. So, I mean, maybe that's why I watched less, because they removed restrictions, so I couldn't stream as many movies like right away. And so what are you gonna do? Yeah.
All right, where to next, Joey?
All right. Next category will be we're gonna start hitting the more comic related categories. So we're gonna go with publishers. So pretty straightforward, man. Publishers. So we'll let Goose kick it off once again.
Well, I think that the best publishers of 2021 were not the big two, which I don't think they ever are. But my third one of the year that I loved was Boom, and not for their ridiculous variants and I killed some kids or something killed the children books. But because of the stuff they're doing with Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers, which has been one of my favorite things that I've read this year, like that reboot and the dual stories, one being in space, one being on Earth. I highly enjoyed it. I think Boom did a really good job with a lot of the stuff that they put out this year. My next one is going to be Source Point. Source Point puts out some really, really good stuff. Some of the funniest books that I read. I say funny. I shouldn't say funny, but oh my God, those what is it? Those damn children. These damn children. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but like third page,
Damn cursed children.
Damn cursed children. Thank you. Damn cursed children. Like third page, a kid getting like booted out of a window had me cracking the fuck up. They put out that.
Of course, I'm gonna stop you right there. Of course, Goose loves a book that has child abuse in it. Because Goose could beat up 20 kindergarten children. Remember that.
Well, I just think I could beat up a whole classroom of 7-year-olds, but I don't think I could beat up like a classroom of 5th graders. And so, I'm just hand-to-hand combat. I think I got them fuckers beat. Not the point.
Yeah.
Source Point put out some really good stuff. Plus, I got some of their trades this year that they sent me were really good. I won't go into a lot of the books that I thought they put out that were great, but they did put out some really good stuff. And then my favorite one of the year, which may have been my favorite one of last year too, is going to be AWA. This AWA has been going on 2 years of almost pure greatness now. There's not a single bad book in the bunch of what I've read. There's a couple of them that I have not read in their like full like stories. However, they've put out Hotel Volume 2, as well as they put out Crimson Cage as well, didn't they?
What's that? Yeah. Both.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's, I believe. Yeah. And you know what? A company that's going to put out 2 John Lee's titles in a year, that's publisher of the fucking year for me. We get consistently good stories from them. They have very reasonably priced trades when they do drop their trades. And it's a company that I feel is going to do really great things, as in the past 2 years, they've done nothing but great things. So, and then let's move on to one that I do have a little bit more to say about, and that is my naughty publisher is Bad Idea. And boy, oh fucking boy, do I have some things to say, and I'll keep it as brief as I can. But this to me was one of the worst ideas that I've seen come out of comics, and there's a lot of reasons for that. In fact, I don't know if y'all read any of their pitches, but their whole idea was, and don't get me wrong, a company's whole idea is to make money, but their way felt exploitative in the sense that they were like, oh, and don't forget, guys, your big spenders at the comic shops, those are whales. And you want to bring those whales in and get those whales spending money with bad idea. And we're going to be exclusive because exclusivity makes things cool. You know, everything that if everybody can get it, then it's not cool. And so like they did their thing. And don't get me wrong, some of the things that they did, I do appreciate, like how they set up rules that if you sold their books at a higher price, if they found them on eBay or if they found a store selling them at a higher price, they stopped selling to those. They stopped selling to those stores and they put them on a ban list. Like I thought that was cool, but the whole exclusivity thing and this elitism culture that they were like kind of profiting off of. They even did a whole book called Whalesville, like that was targeted at their whale customers and shit. And they do the stickers, and half of the time the people who send in their stickers didn't get their shit. And like I see what they were trying to do, and I thought that everything that they did was absolute shit. And don't get me wrong, I'm part of the problem. I bought the books. I love Matt Kent, and I wanted to read it, and I wanted to read Tankers. I was excited about it, but at the same time, like I saw what they were doing and felt it was super problematic in the sense that the day and age that we're in, where comics are now having a resurgence, making your company exclusive in an almost niche community, and then like making these big rewards for collecting their stuff and sending stuff in and then not following through with it. I just thought it was a gimmick and a money grab, and it wasn't for me, man. Bad idea, boo, bro. I'm glad they're shutting down. Fuck them. Comics for all, bro.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. We'll
Yeah, I never
I'll
bought
touch.
into it at all. Never checked it
Yeah.
out. I remember when a certain person who used to be a friend of ours got all mad at me because I said that I had no interest in it because their business model pissed me off. They had probably been my worst label too if I'd have remembered they existed, but I forgot all about them until you just started talking about them. I'm like, oh yeah, those guys. At least they knew their shit sucked and they named themselves appropriately. I got to give them credit for that.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, if they'd have done their approach like they did, but made it more accessible, you know, Norton, thank you. They did feel like luxuries. They were nice comics,
Hard
and
stock. Who cares?
not the point. That's not the point, though. Thank you, Al. But that's the thing. I saw how pretentious they were because I can't remember who it was that sent me like the thing that they were sending to the comic shops that qualified. But like they sent me you know what? I'm not gonna name drop, but our boy PS like put me on, and he was like, "This is what they're doing," and like I saw the thing, and they were like, "Yeah, you want to go after your whale customers," and I was like, "Yo, this is a money grab. I'm still gonna get into it."
Somebody watched an episode of Shark Tank. Way to go. Yeah, you're going to be Mark Cuban of comics. Who wants to be that? Good for you.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's cool, but make it more accessible to the sense that, like, yes. I don't know.
There was trade paperbacks for people that want to just read the actual story and don't care about the collecting.
Or digitals, or fucking digitals.
Yeah.
Just start by making it fucking accessible. Like, the ridiculous rules that were in place for comic shops to qualify and be able to have these books. Like, I remember Sergio was talking about it on his show, the House of Nerds, the other day. Toronto's a pretty big fucking city, and only one shop in the entire city of Toronto had Bad Idea Comics. One shop in that entire city. So, I mean, don't tell me you're making this for comic fans when comic fans can't even get their fucking hands on these books. It's dumb. It was
Exactly, and
completely
that's a
ridiculous.
big point of why AWA was one of my top ones, because their price points are great. Anybody can go into a comic store where AWA trades are and walk out, spend 1081, depending on what state you're in, spend 1081 and walk out with a great fucking book. But
I
if you
get
want
their
a bad,
trades for I get their trades for $8 off of Amazon, which is insane. Like that beats like the cheapest Image books. You know what I mean?
Well,
So like,
basically, Bad Idea said if you're not flexible enough to give yourself to self gratify yourself with fellatio, then you don't qualify to sell our books.
yeah, no,
So, it's like ridiculous shit like that. Like
all you gotta
exactly.
do is take out 2 ribs. Come on, people.
No,
yeah,
no, don't
Just
get me wrong. I jumped.
yeah,
Like
fuck
I
'em.
said, I'm part of the problem. I jumped into it because the store that I was buying books from qualified, and they had the books, and the books were okay. ENIAC was okay. Tankers was pretty good. I can't remember the other one that I got, but like for what they were, it wasn't worth it. Like
Yeah.
it was decent comics, but if you're gonna be that exclusive, you need to like have better comics, or at least give a reach around, or let us have some warning to put on some lipstick before you fuck us out in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
buy us dinner. Take us to Applebee's. God damn it.
Please take us to Applebee's. 2 for $20, baby. We can go and get.
Yeah.
Oh God, do you remember when they had the dollar drinks?
And I've never actually been to Applebee's. Oh, you weren't talking to me. Okay.
Oh no, I was. Oh my God, no! Me and there was an Applebee's right down the road from our apartment in Fort Worth, and we used to go get, because they were supposed to have a 4 drink limit on the dollar drinks, and this Applebee's didn't give a fuck. Like I think like there were people that used to just like smoke in this Applebee's, and like it was tight as fuck. I love that
It was
Applebee's,
probably owned by
but
the people that ran Bad Idea. Like that was the Bad Idea Applebee's.
no, because it was very inclusive. It was very inclusive. They didn't care, and it was a good time always. Because you know what, man, when you're here, you're family in this neighborhood. Have
Yeah.
it your way,
Yeah.
because you're loving it.
Alright. Zipping along to me. I'm going to go with my second favorite comic book label in the world. That is Aftershock, because they have had a momentous year. They put out some of the best horror books, some of my favorite stuff. I love Bunny Mask. I love Maniac in New York. Lots of Pete Milligan books coming out by them. So Aftershock, like always, has just been blowing my hair back. And yeah, I never can go wrong. They've got great price points for their books, and they're not a fetus, and they just put out good stuff constantly. Like I
Mhm.
still haven't read an Aftershock book, and I have quite a collection now that I thought sucked. So that's something that's something to be proud of, in my opinion. But I haven't read
Mhm.
everything they've put out.
Mm.
Um, this one's a reoccurring one, but AWA Upshot.
Yeah.
I mostly got into them because, like Goose said, they were smart enough to do a launch title with John Lee's, and that's all I read until we did our episode, and then I read like 10 books of theirs, and then we read like American Ronin and a bunch of other stuff for the show, and I became a huge fan. And yeah, AWA Upshot, they know how to
Yep.
like launch a universe and make it fun, make it very, very exciting. And then, last but surely not least, I have Source Point, our
Source
little
point.
boys
Yes.
from Michigan who
Yeah.
just aim to impress, man. Like everything they put out seems to really try to push the boundaries of what's possible. They want to try to put out the smartest books they can, from what I've noticed. I love Broken Gargoyles. I'm really excited to read Darling. I love what was it? Dark as Night, or Darker than Black. Like
The darkness into the dark. Anyway, yeah, I know
yeah,
which book you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Didn't they also do the what was the noir murder book, the
yeah,
the
that's what I'm
LA,
talking about. Yeah,
oh
Oh,
not
Heart
Black,
of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness, yeah,
Heart,
no,
or Dark
that's
of
the
Heart. Dark of Heart.
Dark
Sorry.
of Heart. Yeah,
We got it. Nailed it.
we finally got it.
Love you, Source Point. You're putting out great, memorable books.
And this is why I'm almost glad that Matt got diarrhea and couldn't be here with us tonight, because I'd probably have to fight him about this one. But my naughty list goes to Behemoth, a company I was really excited for at the start. I thought had some great ideas, had some great books, but they just seem to now want to cater to the flippers and the variant market, and they don't really put out anything that exciting anymore. And I think it's a shame. I think that they could have been something if they didn't aim to just be a gimmick title like that they're becoming. And yeah, it's kind of a tragic thing. Behemoth, I wish you could get back on track to where you were when you first started, but whatever. There's enough companies that a couple of years, I'm pretty sure nobody will remember or miss you.
Hey, can't love them all. Can't love them all. All right, so let's see. What do you have first up for me on my nice list? What did I send you?
We're gonna go ahead and start with this guy.
Vault. Yes, I thought Vault had a really great year, man. They put out some solid books. Barbaric is one of my favorites that came out this year from them. I love that book. What else they have? They had Blue Flame, I believe, is on Vault. They had quite a few titles. I believe that Money Shot's on Vault as well. They have a good selection of titles, and they've been really consistent with the last
White
couple
noise,
years.
man. The white noise, come on, bro.
I think they got Spurrier on a book now as well. So they're doing they're having a really solid year. I think Radio Apocalypse on there now as well. So they have a ROM book on there. Man, they're lining up some solid talent on their titles now. Next up,
we'll go ahead and get this guy out of the way for you.
There we go. So we have a unanimous vote for Source Point Press. So probably we could almost say it's probably the Pink Buzz's Publisher of the Year, pretty much by all three of us voted for it. So, I mean, I love this. One of my favorite books of the year came out off this label, Darling. They also have a recent book that just came out that's kind of cool that I've enjoyed the first issue so far is Good Boy. What else? They have quite a few, like you guys mentioned. They have a solid lineup. It's a smaller publisher, and but they're lining up some. They have a knack for finding maybe lesser known creators that are talented, which is great, giving them a shot, and they're rewarded with books like Darlin'. Man, that was like one of my. I love that book this year. So, and that's why, on merits of that one book alone, that's why I put Source Point on my my publishers of this year. And last but not least, Dark Horse, man. Like, they've had a bounce back year as far as I'm concerned for 2021. They signed a deal with Comixology, so all the Comixology originals are coming out through physical form, being printed through Dark Horse, which is great, because a lot of these Comixology originals deserve to be read, and a lot of people do not read digital, so I think that's a great thing that Dark Horse made a deal with Comixology to get some of those great titles into the hands of readers that only read physical copies, so that's awesome. Also, one of my favorite books that came out from them is Orphan and the Five Beasts. You had Crimson Flower, which I really loved.
Jenny Zero.
Jenny Zero is one of my favorites as well. You have the Black Hammer universe that's on there. You have the Hellboy, Magnola. He has his whole universe on there. I mean, Dark Horse is rich with so many good titles, and I think Daisy just came out recently, which had a really solid first issue. I mean, people need to go out and check out these Dark Horse titles because they're putting out a lot of solid. And Karen Berger has her imprint through Dark Horse as well. And they put out a lot of great stuff like Seeds. She Can Fly, which is another Cantwell book. I think just wrapped up, so I think that one's done. I think Gollum came out on that, or Goblin, which was a solid book. Man, like.
I think Goblin. That's the Eric and Will one, right? My buddies put that out. Eric.
There's Gollum and then there's Goblin. So
Goblin.
I'm speaking of Goblin. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's actually on Dark Horse's Kids line because that's a YA title. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's a fun read, and man, Dark Horse has had an amazing year in 2021 as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah. And my naughty. So,
whoops, my bad.
Bad idea. I don't think we need to. I think we talked about it enough that I don't think we need to go over it again. So, Bad Idea was definitely lives up to its name, which was a bad idea. Yeah. All right. So that wraps up our publisher. Let's move on. It'll be our favorite Kickstarter category, which because of the pandemic, Kickstarter has revolutionized self-publishing in comics. So we'll let Goose kick it off with the Kickstarter category, our favorite Kickstarters.
These are ones we've actually all covered on the show. I think all three of us back a lot of Kickstarters, and this is one of the topics that was really hard for me to narrow down. But I think based on just the comic content alone and not what like stretch goals and stuff like that, my three favorite things that came from Kickstarter this year were Tricovi, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm glad I have my copies, and I've got the Lane Lloyd cover, which we'll talk about him more later. Tracovi is so much fun. Joe got way more stuff than I did for the Tracovi Kickstarter, and I'm jealous because he got like the record and the action figure and stuff. But even if you didn't splurge on all the extra stuff, Tracovi was one of the most unique and fun books that I read this year, and that is after reading everything else for this whole year, all the Kickstarters that I've gotten in. My second one is gonna be Zombie Date Night. Zombie Date Night. I have not received my physical copy yet, but I got to read it as soon as Steve put it out. We love Steve here. He was on last night. He's one of my favorites. But Zombie Date Night was just as fun as Slowpokes, if not more fun. I enjoyed it a whole lot, and I'm ready for it to come in, especially so I can. I had my aunt stitch up my Slowpoke shirt yesterday, like at her house. I was like, "Hey, how long will it take you to fix this?" She's like 10 minutes. And I was like, "Well, here." So I was shirtless, hanging out around the family for like 10 minutes, but Zombie Date Night was definitely there. However, my favorite one of this year, and I'm really excited that number 3 is going to be coming out as soon as it is, but my favorite of the year has been Black Blizzard. Aaron Reese is not only a fantastic person, and we've had him on twice now, and each time it's been a blast. I have some original art by him, and he did such a good job. In fact, he's going to be coming up again a little bit later when I talk about some characters. Not only does Aaron Reese make quality books, but the turnaround time for you doing your Kickstarter and you getting the book was, I mean, Johnny, how quick did you get your Black Blizzard Volume 2?
I get the PDF right after the campaign ends, and then I get my physical copy about 4 days after that. That he is sending out your physical copies before the money even clears. Like he just sees that, like, okay, Kickstarter collected their money, so here's your book. He doesn't even wait to get that shit in the bank like anybody else. Like, and yeah,
and that's such a big thing for me. It took me a little bit longer to get mine because I got the original art from him too, which I got mine, like I said, a week and a half, maybe even less than that after the campaign ended, with the art and everything. And it's beautiful books. I read the digital versions, but reading the physical copies and seeing his art and especially that scene from issue 1 with the almost Junji Ito monster scene, the splash page, that just sticks out to me so much. I think about it all the time. This was my favorite Kickstarter of the year. Now let's get on to which it's hard for me to say that this is the naughty of 2021 because it's the naughty that's
I
been.
warned you about backing this one, man. I told you the big name guys watch out for their shit. But
No, okay. Well, you know what though? It's funny because this was the first thing that I ever backed.
Me too.
This was the first comic that I ever backed. And do you know what? There's only 2 other books that I do not have out of the almost 40 things that I've backed. There's only 2 other books that I don't have, and one of them is on its way, and one of them is, 2 of them are on their way, and one of them is getting ready to be sent now. And I got those, some of them a year and a half after this. I've been waiting almost 2 years now for the books, and they're saying they'll come in maybe January, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And like my big problem with this is the names the people working on this book are deeply embedded in comics, and they know how things work and they know how things go. And I know that things get busy and stuff like that, and they ran this like mid fucking pandemic, and so I get it, there's problems, but at this point in time, like, y'all are pushing some Gary Frank, fucking Jeff Johns boundaries on goddamn deadlines here. And while there's other Kickstarters this year that pissed me off, what pisses me off more is a Kickstarter that's been done since 2020. June or July of 2020 is now almost 2 years late, and that pisses me off a lot. It pisses me off a lot more than the goddamn Berserker that I backed, and it pisses me off a whole lot more than what they did with goddamn Power Rangers. But I don't have time to go into those. So, Johnny, it's up to you.
Okay. First up for me is, and these are going to go with how smooth and just how easy the Kickstarter campaigns themselves are. Uh,
Mhm.
Weird Work by my buddy Jordan Thomas, and with wonderful art by Shaky Kane. I really enjoyed Jordan's work. He's actually one of the people that got me to start looking at Kickstarter, because he was nice enough to let me read and review Frank at Home at the Farm, and ever since then I've just
Mhm.
been addicted to him and his work. But this is probably actually my favorite, because we were talking about Jim Mahfood earlier on, and this really hits on the same level as like his original stuff, like Paper Girls, or like Mike Allred's Madman. And I'm always going to have an affinity for that type of indie comic. And yeah, Weird Work is just wonderful, and the campaigns just run smoothly. He's like, here's the money. Okay, fine. The book's coming out at this date, and it does, and I appreciate the hell out of him for that. Next up, we have Plainer Jane out of the UK by a company called Broken Face. And this is a cute little story about a young girl who becomes a serial killer for hire around her school, and the hijinks she gets up to. But much like the Weird Work, it just the campaigns run so smooth. You pay for it, and then it just gets made, and it gets into you, and there's no hassle. They keep you updated, and I think David's the guy's name, and he's a really good character himself. He's really fun to talk to if you ever get the chance. And yeah,
Mhm.
Plainer Jane, the campaign for 4 and 5 just ended, so like I think he's going to be running a trade campaign for the collected first arc, and I highly recommend getting it because it is a really fun, funny book. But much like Goose, my favorite Kickstarter of the year is, of course, Black Blizzard. My buddy Aaron Reese just completely blew me away with this. I backed it because I was intrigued by his life story that he told in the Kickstarter campaign. But when I got the first issue and read it, it pinned my ears back. I just really enjoyed the David Ayerness of it, mixed with Junji Ito and maybe a little John Constantine Hellblazer. But another thing is like his response time. I literally had my physical copy a week after the campaign was over, and nobody does that. And yeah, that gets a little praise out of me, you know what I mean, in the story. And last but surely not least, we have my naughty, and that is Deadly Living. And this goes for Dauntless comics in general. This was a very, very poor experience, in my opinion. I backed this because I believed in it. I thought it was fun. It was three guys trying to get their 3 issues out, and they promised the moon, and they ended up getting signed to this company, and it ended up taking forever to get released. And when it did, it wasn't even a trade paperback like what was promised. They sent me a pamphlet sized comic that when I opened it, the bounding broke and started the pages started coming out. And when I wrote Dauntless to try to get a replacement, they basically just told me, "Sorry about you, bro, but you can buy a new one for Kickstarter price." They weren't even going to sell it to me for cover price. So yeah, I am not a fan, and I will not be supporting like these creators or this book ever again, or that label. But yeah, dude, avoid this comic in my opinion. It might be good. I didn't get to read it because it fell apart, and I was so pissed I didn't even look at the PDF. So it could be good, but whatever.
Hey, it's all about the experience, right? So,
It is for me. It's all
yeah,
about the reading experience.
yeah. All right. So, let's see what I've got on my nice list for 2021 Kickstarter. All right, this is a bit of a cheat because I did not technically back this book, Tales to Enlighten. I wanted to, but I had other things I backed around the same time, and this was probably one of the pricier things I wanted to back at the same time. It's a 300-page original graphic novel, which was I think like $40. So I kind of didn't back it, but I bought the PDF later on after the Kickstarter was over, and I loved it. But I found out about this book through the Kickstarter. So and it was a great book. I read it, I loved it, and man, you guys should go check it out. It's definitely a fun read if you like indie comics. Tales to Enlighten. Matt King is the one who wrote it, and shit, the artist escapes me right now, but yeah,
James Edward Clark.
Yeah, and I love his style. James Edward Clark, man, he's got a beautiful. I love his art
very
style.
Throwback, yeah, very grindhousey.
Yeah, and it's fun. And this guy's on Instagram reposting all these indie comic guys. Like, he's a big time supporter of indie creators, and man, I respect the shit out of Matt King because he's out there helping other people hustle, and man, he put out a great book as well. Like, it definitely pokes a lot of fun and in a loving way at the big two and all their characters. So yeah, it was a really fun read for me. I really enjoyed it. Next up is obviously Dig. We all love John Lees here, and I went pretty big on this one. I'm not gonna lie. I think this will be the Kickstarter I spent the most money on. Which I think is closing out in about 2 days. The Kickstarter will be done. Yes, Dean. Yeah, I talked to Dean about the Tales to Enlighten, and he dug it too. Like, it's a really fun book. So yeah, John Lee's Dig, man. Anyone who's read Sync knows who Dig is. Mr. Dig is a character that originated in the Sync series, and now he's going to have his own book that follows a 64-page story that follows specifically his story. So if you're a fan of Sync or John Lee's in general, go back that Kickstarter, because I guarantee you won't be disappointed. And who doesn't like a little bit of Alex Cormack art, man? It's to die for.
And if you got 50 extra bucks to spare, they got this beautiful metal cover of And Then Emily Was Gone, which I want so bad, but I don't have the $50 because I have to pay for my Iron Man robot heart still.
Yeah, I would like to have it too, but I already spent too much. All right, last but not least, Trakovi. I went hard on this one as well. It's probably my second. Until Dig came out, this was the Kickstarter I dropped the most coin on. And I love this book. I fell in love with it instantly. And Adrian was nice enough to send us PDFs because he came on the show. So I read the first 2 issues before the Kickstarter was even over. And man, I just fell in love with this book. This is my Kickstarter of the year. If I had to pick a number one, it would be Trakovi. Not only is the book fantastic, but the Kickstarter, I mean, I think this was Adrian's first Kickstarter. And god damn, he had a vinyl. He had Russian dolls. He had stickers. What else did he had? He had an action figure. He had T-shirts. He had all this stuff, and dude got everything mailed out. I think a month and a half, completely mailed out after the Kickstarter was complete. And man, he had a lot to do. Like, this is amazing. Like, thinking that he had to organize vinyls, all this stuff, and he got it out, man. That's amazing. That's insane. Like, as far as Kickstarters go, that is probably one of the smoothest goddamn Kickstarters I've ever seen in my life.
And he was able to show up on our show 3 times while doing all that.
Doing all that, yeah. So, man, like, props to Adrian, man. Like, like he said, I don't think he's going to go as big next Kickstarter because he didn't realize how much work it was. But, man, I appreciate the first one, and I was able to cash in on it. So, yeah, props to that. And my naughty. I've talked about this on the show several times about Neurobellum, which I love their books because Neurobellum is the parent company to Magnetic Press, and they go under Neurobellum for their Kickstarters. And I just have so many issues with the way they run their Kickstarters and how their backers take a back seat to like they take your money up front, yet they prioritize all the the publish
Retail.
retail. Yeah, they so you'll get your book. We send everything to retailers and Kickstarter backers. Well, guess what? You don't matter as much, so you'll get your book when you get it. And you know what? Fuck it. I'll never back another Neuroebellum Kickstarter for the rest of my life. I'm just gonna order the fucking books through my LCS because you can, and you'll get the book earlier and you'll save on shipping. So Neuroebellum's never getting my money through a Kickstarter. I'm going to just go straight through Magnetic Press and order it through the Diamond Previews. So, sorry guys, but when you don't take care of your backers, they're going to bail on you, and they do not take care of their backers at all. Their priority is retail, and the backers are just an afterthought. So, thumb up your bum.
In the bum.
Yeah, there you go. So that's my Kickstarter. Those are my nice and naughties. All right, so moving right on to our next category, which will be characters. What are some of our favorite nice and naughty characters of maybe could be all time or the past year, whatever. Your favorite comic characters, the naughty and nice list for comic characters. Goose, let's have it. You're on mute, man. You're on mute.
God damn it! I didn't know this from all time, or else I'd have had a little bit of a harder time picking this. Not the point.
Right, yeah.
But I picked some characters from this year that I really enjoyed. This going back to our Kickstarters, we'll start with number 3 of the year, and that's Dracovi, our Slavic badass, who once I read the books, I had to go all in on the Kickstarter. It is one of my favorite books of the year, hands down. And Dracovi being our what's his not race, but what's his nationality? Slovak? Yeah, he's Slovakian. Yeah, our Slovakian bastard is one of my favorites. And then moving on, we got Bohm from another Kickstarter, and that's Black Blizzard. I actually jumped in so heavily to Black Blizzard just to get a character sketch of Bohm from Aaron Reese. He has some of my favorite lines in the book, and he's such a badass, and he really struck a chord with me. He has that line where you got this guy coming in here with a machine gun, light machine gun like that. I love that. But my favorite thing of the year was the resurgence of one of mine and also Johnny's favorite characters, and that was Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill's series that was done by Daniel Warren Johnson was probably the best thing that Marvel put out this entire year. I love Daniel Warren Johnson. I love his art. I love what he did with Wonder Woman on Dead Earth. I love Murder Falcon. I was reading Extremity just this week, which Johnny said was, what is that your favorite DWJ work?
Yeah, that's I think that's still his best to date, in my opinion.
And not just, and that's just books that he did with, that he wrote and did the art for, but his art on its own, like that's his art in we won't talk about who wrote it, but his art in Ghost Fleet is kick
Johnny
ass.
Case's best, yeah, man. And like I wonder how much DWJ added to that, but yeah, dude, Ghost Fleet is amazing.
He got to kill both of them in that book as well, which I thought was great. But no, and that wasn't that put out by Dark Horse? That ties in with Joe's favorite pick.
It was Dark Horse, but Image puts out the trade now for it.
Why? So those were my 3 favorite. I'm glad they had a Beta Ray Bill resurgence. However, let's get into my naughty. Rorschach 2. And I don't know if Rorschach 2 is the one from Doomsday Clock or not. Fuck it. We're going to call Rorschach 2 this fucker from the Tom King series. I've got a question. What the fuck's going on? I read the entire series, and I need to reread it, I guess. I don't know. who the fuck was Rorschach? He was like 3 different fucking people in the book, and the whole thing was confusing and dumb as shit. And like, I just wish they wouldn't have done that. And then we've got Sandra from Monolith, who we have talked about on the show before. She was one of my most hated characters of the year before we even had that fucking category for naughty or nice. Fuck her. She's an awful mother. But the character that made me most mad this year that got on my naughty list is going to be Jennifer Ryan from Casual Fling. This is an AWA book. She is just like Sandra from Monolith. She's an adulterous little harlot who puts her family at risk because of her lustful ways. And I'm not slut shaming here. I'm saying slut it up, have a good time, but don't slut it up above your family. Like, slutting it up comes second place to family. Like, that's just how it goes. And God damn it, Jennifer Ryan really put slutting it up above her family and was a whole dick about it the entire time. And her husband was nothing but helpful and trying to be thoughtful and trying to process his way through it. And the whole time she was just like, you know what? I see you're doing your best. I'm going to do my worst and be a bitch. And that's why she's on my naughty list. Fuck her. That, Dalibor Talija, great art on that. I'm trying to think who wrote that. It wasn't Milligan. It was,
Star?
Jason Starr.
yeah, Jason Starr. It was Jason Starr that wrote that. Yeah, and yes, because look, Monolith made me upset, and I didn't like Sandra from Monolith, but the way that Jennifer Ryan was, in the sense that she didn't need that escape. She just did it because she was straight up slutting it up, and she just wanted to be spontaneous because she just wanted to not be a mom or not deal with her. Yeah, fuck all that shit. She was a downright bitch. And, you know, Sandra was slutting it up too, and she got her kid killed. But Jennifer Ryan, like, I don't know, she pissed me off way fucking worse, and that's why she's number 1 on my naughty list.
But I think the Monolith is more, she was a victim of her own stupidity a little bit. Like, you know, in Monolith, like,
yes, so was her kid.
Yeah, locking herself out of the car and stuff was more like she's stubborn.
Turning off the safety features, period.
Yeah, it's more just like, it wasn't as, it's self-destructive, but maybe not to the point. Yeah.
Monolith was man versus machine, whereas Casual Fling was man versus himself. And I think that's why it's a little bit more, because it's hard for me to connect with Sandra having a armored car that's production, you know, and losing her kid, than it is for me to have a happy family and see it ripped apart by infidelity. And the way that they tackled the subject was really well. In fact, they did so well that book pissed me off. And not the sense that the book was bad, it wasn't, but it elicited those feelings in me. Like, I had literal hate for the fictional character of Jennifer Ryan, and that's why she's number 1 on my naughty list.
There you go.
Big ups to Jason Starr for being able to write that well to make me hate a fictional character.
Yeah.
All right. I picked my characters from whatever, so my first up is Kate from Kate, because why not? She just wrecks shit and she's badass, and there's that really sexy picture I told you about with her in the sunglasses and the cigarette, man, like, just ready to wreck stuff. And yeah, I can't put it. Me and Joe talked enough about this movie earlier on. If you haven't watched Kate, definitely give it a watch, man. It is just pure adrenaline, fun.
For sure.
Next up for me, I have Benny and Jett from Bam and Glam by our buddy Richard Morgan. And these two, you don't know in the book yet if they're good or bad, if they're bounty hunters, if they're slavers, what's up, but they are the first people in this messed up future that our heroine Glam runs into, and they are very funny, very interesting side characters that I just completely adore, and I love their name. Anything that alludes to good era Elton John, like, I can have fun with, man. Plus, I just like that song too. Benny.
Yeah.
And much like Goose, my top pick is from Black Blizzard, but I'm going with Deidre. She is just so badass and just probably the best character in the book because she has zero fucks to give, and she's funny about it. She is basically John Constantine
Yeah.
with with a sultry attitude and the cigarettes, and yeah, and I think that her day is really going to come to shine. I mean, in the second issue, she saves Goose's favorite character, Bohm, in a very touching scene. I love it because like the demon's coming after him, and like she just blows it up, and she thinks he's going to be mad at her, and he just runs over and hugs her, and it was just touching. So I can't wait to see what happens in the third issue. And there's a really cool panel that Aaron shared with her and Furia, and they're both like shooting fireballs out of their hands, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see what the hell's going on with that, man. The girls are getting badass up in Black Blizzard, and yeah, Deidre, you don't get cooler than her. And my naughty goes to, and this isn't because she's a bad character, it's because of how just psychotic she is, and that is Jinx from Arcane. She is just such a great character. I hate to use this label and these labels, but like it is the most apt thing I could think of. In the beginning of the show, she is almost a Harley Quinn esque um, character, kind of protag antag at the same time. But by the end of the show, by the time shark rockets fly, she is the Joker. She is no longer the subservient little sidekick. She is the
No.
one causing the mayhem and laughing and having a good time and running circles around the cops. And God bless her because the way that they animate her and her facial expressions and her
Yeah.
freakouts is just glorious. And yeah, dude, like if you ain't a fan of Jinx, they something wrong with you. That's all I gotta
Mhm.
say.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. Great character.
All
All right.
right.
So let's see what I've got on my nice list. All right. We Live, Humble, and Alice. I love these two characters. They were great characters from a series from Aftershock called We Live by the Miranda Brothers. Love this series. Love those two characters. A great duo. Really heartwarming their relationship and how they have each other's back. So I love them. They definitely make the naughty list because they make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. All right, next up, we have Mr. Finch from one of my favorite reads this year from Darlin. Mr. Finch is a fantastic character. Anyone who's read the book will know. There's a nice little twist in it with Mr. Finch, and such an adorable, great character who is silent actually in the book. So a lot of it is through actions and facial expressions, how the character expresses it himself. So love it. He's such a great character in the Darlin series. Yeah, and Cinnamon, man, this book, Cinnamon is so funny. It's a spastic cat. Cinnamon is basically the interpretation of what the creator, Victoria Douglas, thinks their cat experiences in their mind, in their world, how they see the world. So it's great. And Cinnamon is just a fun character in its fantasy world. It's a fun read, and Cinnamon is definitely a really fun character. All right, for the naughty. I went with naughty as in fun naughty, not necessarily bad or I hate the character. Like, obviously, Lobo is despicable character, kind of in the same vein as Constantine. You know, you hate him, but you love him at the same time. So Lobo definitely makes the naughty list. I also put the Axe from Barbaric. That I love that character. He's so great, and like just the lines he comes up with throughout the book is fun. Owen's Axe is great. He's a great character, and this is how you take an inanimate object and make them a character. They do it fantastic in this, and Owen's Axe is a great naughty character. And last but not least is Jenny Zero, Jenny Tetsuo. She's a party girl, doesn't give a shit, does drugs, does this, does that. So, I mean, it's a naughty character, but in the best kind of way. Kind of gives no shit, self-destructive, fun, badass chick. So, Jenny Tetsuo makes the naughty list as well.
Yeah, have a blast with that book. I'm glad when you always recommend it when we do our reviews. Like, I always have a good time reading the issues of that bad boy.
Yeah, yeah. The humor just hits. I love her character, and it's funny. Yeah. All right. So let's mosey on down to the creator section. So we'll be doing. We'll start it off with writers. So we'll let Goose kick it off with his nice list for the writers. Who made his list this year?
None of them. I hate them all. No. We'll start with who I think is probably one of the best writers that is doing his thing right now, and that is Christopher Cantwell.
Is that
Uh,
is that him?
Yeah.
that is him,
Okay, I got lucky.
right?
Because I don't know who I don't know a lot of these people by looking at them, and there's no label. So I was like,
I should have labeled him. I'm sorry, but no. What Christopher Cantwell was doing with Iron Man was, and that's the first book I'm bringing up because there's so many I could talk about. But what he did with Iron Man made me care about the character of Tony Stark, who I've never cared about. I got suckered in with those Alex Ross covers, and the story was so goddamn good. It's fantastic. I think he did a great job. Plus, he's got the Blue Flame going on. He just wrapped up what She Could Fly. Um, that's the title of it. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
that's the third arc for that too, by the way. Which all three are worth totally getting because they are so phenomenal.
And he's just a super nice guy. Anytime I've interacted with him, not just like in public talks, but I've talked to him in the DMs a couple of times before. He's been just a really super guy, and so he definitely gets my third for the year. Number two for the year is gonna go to Steve Urena, and that is because not only did he make one of my favorite books of last year, but he's got Zombie Date Night going on right now, and he has
Ex Machina.
Kickstarter. Yeah, Ex Machina that's coming out. That's on the Kickstarter right now, and you should back it. Mostly so I can get Lane Lloyd to kill me in issue 2. Yeah, no, that's I'm absolutely looking forward to that. Like, I want the book to get back because I love Steve Urena, but I've got a chance to get Lane Lloyd to draw me dying in issue 2, so that's also a big thing. But no, Steve has been phenomenal. This will be Ex Machina will be what his third book, and everything that he's put out has been just solid 100%. So he definitely gets second place, but first place for the year, man. And it was a tough one, but I think the best writer of the year was going to be David Pepose, man. Not only his Kickstarters, but he put out one of my favorite series of the year, and that was Scout's Honor. I really think that, along with some of the other guys that he's been coming up with, Rylan Grant, I think they're some of the hardest working guys in comics. And I think that it really shows by the stuff that they're putting out, especially with David Pepose. He put out the OZ this year, which was incredible. He put out Scouts Honor this year, which was incredible. His past work has been awesome. I love Spencer and Locke, and so anytime he puts out some new stuff, I tend to either back it or buy it from my LCS. And so he definitely, I think, while there was a lot more, there were people who put out a lot more books. I think that the rate that David put them out and the talent in those books, I definitely think he was almost the clear winner for clinching number one for me.
Right on. First up for me, I have Paul Tobin. He's been one of my favorites for about as long as I can remember. I mean, I cut my teeth with this guy. He was a member of the Barbed Wire Halo crew, and he did Fringe with Phil Hester. It's probably the first thing I remember of his. But he is back with a passion. He's been writing really good lately. Bunny Mask is his newest book. It's probably one of the most interesting things he's ever written, and that's saying something because he's had his sword career. But one of the neatest things about him is he's kind of passing off as like this new kind of talent talent, because I was watching a show, I'm not going to name names, but these kind of millennial kids were calling him a new up and coming talent, and I got such a kick out of that. I'm like, that is exactly what Paul is, because if that's how you want to see him and that's how you're going to praise him, then fine, dude, give this guy his credit, because Bunny Mask is that damn good. And yeah, Paul Tobin is off the chain. Next up, we have Dan Waters. And I know I tease a lot about the white noise stuff, but oh my god, does this guy have so much talent in his pinky that he makes me jealous every time I read anything he puts on paper. It's not even funny. He attacks comics with the same vigor as like the 90s British invasion guys, but he has all of their skills and talents to himself. Like, he is in his Ellis, Millar, all of them tied into one guy, and his stuff is just so incredible. Like, I love it. Dan Waters, I think that he just exudes talent, and yeah, homesick pilots like a mofo is all I gotta say. And last but surely not least, we got the reigning champ, the king, the god of underrated comics, Peter Milligan, back like it's 1994. I've never seen this guy work this much. Even when he was in his prime, he was not putting out the amount of books he is right now, which I think is so cool, so incredible for a guy with his tenure to be attacking modern comics the way he is and being so good at it. Like, he is putting out some of the best work of his career right now, and I couldn't be happier for him. I mean, go Petey. Finally get your name out there, man, because I've never understood why you haven't caught on before now. But dude, seize the day, take that shit, and take your crown with Morrison and the rest of the guys where you belong, because you deserve it, brother. And yeah, Peter Milligan's my number one of the year, because wow, he's going with the almost Colin Bunn-esque approach at being prolific at the moment, which I find completely awesome.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Awesome. All right, let's see. Give me my first pick for my nice list on my writers. All right, we have the Miranda Brothers. One of my favorite reads from late 2019 or 2020, early 21 is We Live from Aftershock. These guys just put out a great book, man. I can't praise them enough. I loved it. I loved every issue. This is one of the books I couldn't wait to read each month. So the Miranda Brothers, man, doing a great job with We Live, and it's coming back for the second arc in 2022, spring of 2022. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, all right, me neither. Since you had me read it for the show, like, oh, it was so good.
It's a long wait for that second arc, but they're coming back. All right, we have, and you'll see a theme in with my writers. So we have the writers for Jenny Zero, man, Dave DeWanch and Brockton McKenney. I love this book, man. The humor hits for me, and it's another book I just couldn't wait to read it each month. And these guys did a great job with it. So Jenny Zero's on a Dark Horse label, of course, and I think they're presently working on the second arc. So we should be getting more from them in the future, hopefully in a not too distant future.
Because they're looking to launch a whole universe with that, right?
Yeah, they have. They had big plans. If the numbers were good, they had some pretty big plans. We Live as well. They have an even bigger universe. All right, so we have Michael Flyzak and Todd Hunt, who are the co-writers for Darling. So as you can see, the theme of my writers have all been books where they've had writers team up together to write a book, and this book is one of my favorite books of the year. I mean, the story is great. I mean, there's a twist in it. There's the way they develop the characters. I just loved it. I mean, it's a great book. It's a great read, and these guys do a great job of telling a weird, definitely bizarre, surreal story that I think everyone, should go check out. Yeah, go check it out for sure. So that does it for my writers.
Goose, artists, man, right, hit us up.
Yeah.
You're muted, buddy.
God damn it. I'll bust through mine pretty quickly. My number 3 artist of the year was Junie Ba on... no, it's not him.
Is that him?
Okay. Yep. Exactly.
From is it Delia? Is that how we're pronouncing it? Delia?
That's how I say it. I'm not. I
Yeah, the
haven't.
TKO
I'll look.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I his art is super distinctive. I've been seeing him getting some cover work coming out in 2022, and I'm real happy for that. I think one thing about an artist is the distinctness of their work and how quickly it is for me to recognize that it's their art. Junie Ba is one of those guys. You see his work, you know it's his work, and it's always beautiful.
Image is
And
going to be doing Monkey Meat too, which is going to be
yeah,
cool.
I'm
They're releasing
excited for
Monkey Meat.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's getting the recognition. Like I saw how he got onto TKO when he like just sent in a submission to Alex Alonso, and they were like, "Yeah, we want you. Come on."
Well,
And
his book is
not Alex
beautiful.
Alonso, not
You know,
Alex Alonso. Fuck C. Chun.
Yang
Z. Yeah,
Chung, or
yeah. The guy
yeah,
from
it's then
TKO. I got him
the
mixed
one who
up, but
writes the Fearless
yes.
Doctor
But
Fang. Yeah.
yeah, just sent it to him and he got him on board. But I'm glad to see his work getting brought over here because it's absolutely phenomenal. My number two is going to be Simone DeMeo. I don't know. Oh, that nope, not that
I
one.
blame.
Close. Simone DeMeo. He did the work for. We only find them when we're dead. He did a little bit of work on. He's done some work on Power Rangers and stuff too. But his work on We Only Find Them When They're Dead was to me some of the cleanest, like prettiest work. It wasn't one of my favorite stories of the year. It was a good story, don't get me wrong, but I think the highlight of that book was its art, and Simone DeMeo really
did he
shone
do the
through.
colors on that too, or did he? Because the
I,
colors in that book are phenomenal.
I will look it up and see. I want to say that he did, but
Okay.
I very well could be wrong. That book was absolutely beautiful. But my number one artist of the year and my favorite one whose work I see all the time is going to be Lane Lloyd. Um, Ever since Johnny put me on to God Puncher, I've been following Lane Lloyd pretty closely. Um, and his work is like I was talking about with Junie Ba. It's very distinct. When I see a Lane Lloyd piece, I don't even have to look to see who did it. Like I know it's Lane Lloyd, and I'm ready to see him get a lot more work. Especially because I think he is one of the hardest working, more talented artists out there, and I'd love to see him popping up more and more. And so he's definitely my number one artist of the year. And yeah, we didn't do any naughties for this category because all
Well,
artists and writers are.
you guys could have. I just personally didn't want to do.
Oh, okay. Well, then Rob Liefeld wins writer and artist category
Oh,
for
he
most
always
awful.
wins that though. I mean, like that's the easiest
It's
mulligan
a
in the book, man.
it's
Like
a
shoe in.
Okay, well, do you know who normally wins it? Well, we can't mention him because he's been banned from these games.
Rob Liefeld? He's not
No,
banned,
no,
but
not
he
Rob
can bring his
Liefeld.
Ninja Turtle teeth in here if he wants
I'm
to.
talking
He's
about the
welcome.
dude who writes Techno Toad.
Oh, dude, like that guy doesn't even make comics, and we like don't bring that up. Like
I said so.
end
I
of
said
story, Jesus, man. Like that doesn't even fucking exist in my realm. All right, but yeah, moving right along. We got my picks, and first up we have the just incredible Danny, who did
Yeah.
Coffin Bound. She has done a few bits and bobs here and there. Mostly, what impressed me the most, which is weird for me to say because I am not a Superman fan, but her work on Superman Red and Blue was just incredible. I was so blown away by the fact that she was able to work her style into a mainstream comic, and it just looks so glorious. And I was just really happy to see her in something like that. So, way to go, girl! You kick ass, and yeah, dude, Danny. It's a name to keep your eyes open for because she is incredible. Next
Mhm.
up, we have Jen Hickman. They are probably one of the most incredible artists working right now. I've been a huge fan of theirs since seeing the promos for Moth and Whisper, and ever since then, I've just watched them evolve and get better and better. And their pencil work is incredible, but I think it's their work in colors that really, really sucks me into their art. And this year, they have done what I consider to be their swan song, which is Lonely Receiver. What a beautiful, just surreal, trippy, sexy book. And yeah, definitely check it out. And who takes the cake in my book is my girl, Maria Lovett. She is just unhinged in the perfect way possible. I just love the way she views the world and sexuality and the way people interact and the way she just deciphers it into her books. I think that it's one of the most riveting things. And oddly enough, it's one of the few things that's ever gotten me into more erotic comics from the U.S. titles. So I find her very appealing, and I just love everything that she does. I'm really into porcelain, and yeah, I can't wait to see what Maria does next. She is just top of the pops, in my opinion.
Solid. She's definitely solid. All right. Let's put them up on the screen, man. I don't have any particular orders, so let's see what I got on my nice. All right. Dave Mims, the artist on Darling. This dude, man, his style, I love it. It's a perfect match. Story, art, like I mean, this book has been awesome, and his art definitely reflects the quality of the story,
That
and it fits the tone.
stylization, yeah, it's so
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
nice. It is nice. So Dave Mims, man, he's definitely, definitely a good talent, man. I love his style. All right, next up we have Maria Wolf. She's only doing covers at the moment, but I love her cover work. So I thought I'd give her a spot on artist because, man, she just puts out so much great cover work. And I love her stuff. And I can't wait for her to start doing interiors. Next up,
I
if
seem
not,
to have lost the last picture for you, man. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's fine. It was, who was my last one? It was Victoria Douglas, the cartoonist, the creator of Cinnamon. They do such great work on that. The style that they use is fantastic. I love how it's a like monochrome kind of palette. It definitely lends to the energy and the style and tone of the book. So Victoria Douglas, I
Well,
think,
it's her choice of colors because it's like this silver and then it's like a red. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
not like she
definitely
does
like a
black.
red hue. Yeah, yeah. It's I like their style, man. It's really cool, and looking forward to seeing more stuff from them in the future.
All right.
Yeah.
And going on to our last category, or the big one, the one that everybody's been waiting for. This is our top comics of the year. Goosey, hit us, man. You're muted.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm
And
so sorry, guys.
you just pitched a perfect game, man, right now, and that was the perfect game.
I'm like 5 for
Every time.
5.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called courtesy, fellas. Get you some. No, my 3 favorite comics of the year was, I think, number 2, or sorry, number 3 is gonna be Delia from Junie Ba. It is one of the most interesting things that I read this year, no doubt, and the art in the book makes it it's a home run. I remember not knowing anything about it and jumping into it when we picked it for the show. And Jesus, it was so gorgeous. I absolutely love this book. My number 2 book of the year is going to be Ultra Mega. Ultra Mega was so much fun. It is what every comic strives to be. It was action packed. It was funny. The books themselves. We got 4 issues, but they were each double or almost triple sized issues, and just the big books, the oversized books made the story even more enjoyable, and it definitely got up there on my list. Now my number 1 ties in with my favorite writer of the year, and that's going to be Scout's Honor. The books themselves were incredible. Plus, they sent out those neat little patches, the survival patches, which I loved. But this was one of those books that if you missed out on it, you definitely need to pick it up. Everybody needs to be talking about Scout's Honor and David Pepose and how great this series was. My one on the naughty list is going to be Ice Cream Man, and I know what people are thinking. I know what people are thinking.
Sacrilegious!
Ah, don't get me wrong, guys. It's not a bad series. You want to know why it's on my naughty list? Because the money grab piece of shit variant scandal that they have going on. I know what you're thinking. It's not a scandal. But here's the deal. That book sells so well. It doesn't need to put out 20, 30 fucking variants per book. And I've
What was it? It's almost 60 for that one issue.
25.
Issue
Yeah.
25, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Like, and I put two of them on my list. I was going to talk about X-Men too, but it all ties into a money grab thing. Like, I've bought some of the Ice Cream Man variants. Don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of it. Which is why I feel like I have the ability to talk about it. It's terrible. This is the same thing that led to the crash of the 90s, the speculative market that is bullshit. And I think along with some of the other books, but I think Ice Cream Man really pushes the limits for a book on variants and bullshit like that. And it really hit my naughty list because of that. Like, fuck all the extra bullshit. If you've got a good story, let that sell your books.
Agreed.
Cool. Yeah. As for me, I have favorite comics that I've mentioned before, and those still stand. I love Mart Wallace and Blam and Glam, Tracovi, and Red, like by Slapzig. Those are all still. But for this show, I wanted to throw in some new stuff, something fun to talk about. So first up, we have Everything is Super by Captain Rotsteak, and this is probably one of the most fun, warped, and demented comics I've ever read. It's another one I learned about through Kickstarter, and it's just punk rock to the bone. It's very Feral Dalrymple esque meets. I don't know, a little bit of Gummo with some Turbo Kid thrown in there. And it's just about these doofus kids that live in this superpower world and the weird shit that happens to them and like their crackhead like wannabe synth pop rock dads and stuff. Like it's one of the most creative things I've ever read. I can't recommend it highly enough, man. Everything is super. You never hear about it, but it's definitely something you need to look up and check out because you are missing out if you don't check out Rod Steak's work. Next up, thanks to Joey, I got this book. I even learned about it from him because he was like, "Hey, dog, you love cats, right?" And I'm like, "I do." And he's like, "You should read this." And I'm like, "Okay." And he got it for me. And oh my God, is it the most adorable thing ever? And I love Victoria Douglas's writing in it. They really understand being a cat owner, and I love the way that they write in actual cat owner facts. Like the whole thing about teaching the cat owner that you can't just torture the cat with the laser pointer. You actually got to give the cat something to beat up too. And so the end of the laser pointer trilogy was just so great. I thought it was so well put together, and it really just warmed my heart. And it made me get up and play with my cats after reading it because I had such a good time. I wanted to share it, you know what I mean? And who better do it with than my little furry buddies? And any like Goose said, anything that can inspire you to actually have a real emotion in a comic book, like you got to celebrate that. It's a beautiful thing. And my favorite comic, probably coming out of Big Two, that's not Deadly Class, is Homesick Pilots by my boy Dan Waters. And what more can you say? It's about punk rock kids that can turn ghost houses into mechs and fight each other, and it's insane. It's beautifully drawn by Casper Wingard, and I want a movie in the vein of Mandy. About it as soon as possible. Hollywood, get on it. Get Spectre Vision, get Panos working on it. Maybe even get Nicolas Cage to play Tift. That'd be great. I could see him as a sentient videotape. And yeah, let's get this baby rolling because Homesick Pilots is the bee's knees. And my naughty list is something that should be completely illegal. It should be banned. It should be burned off the face of the earth. And that is Evil Ernie 2021 by Scott Lobdell. Whoever thought giving Evil Ernie to Scott Lobdell was a good idea just wants to murder off the character Evil Ernie, so nobody has any interest in him ever again. And this book proves that with its Disney Plus ass approach to it, and just the whole like, oh, he's a teen kid that could turn into Evil Ernie and can turn back. Like, oh my God, I don't care. It's stupid. It sucks. Bring back the one that Justin Jordan did a couple years ago. That was actually good. And yeah, dude, burn this comic if you own it, even if you have the cool cover, the B cover.
I have the B cover.
Burn it.
All right, so Let's do my nice list for my top books of the year. Let's see what makes my nice list. Oh yeah, Orphan and the Five Beasts. I know Fulci. Sadly, he couldn't be here because he ate something bad and got food poisoning. But this was
He's
also
got
on.
super AIDS.
You got
This was-
Beastman AIDS.
This was also on his list, Orphan and the Five Beasts. He and I both really love this book, and I mean, James
Thunder
Stokoe.
Thighs. What else
Yeah,
do you
Thunder
need to know
Thighs,
to
yeah.
love this book?
James Stucco is just killing it on this. He's knocking it out of the park. And on Fulci's picks, I put the Thunder Thighs cover, but and he also had James Stucco as one of his artists, which is why I didn't use, because I didn't want to repeat too many. Because I mean, there's too much talent. There's too many good people to try to repeat too many names. So I had the luxury of knowing everyone's picks beforehand, and I went last. So I tried to not repeat too many. So James Stucco would have made my list, but Fulci had it on his, which was supposed to be nominated if he was here. So anyway, yeah, it's issue number 2 would have to be my favorite single issue of the year. I agree with Dean. Like Orphan and the Five Beasts issue 2 is fan-fucking-tastic. All right, Jenny Zero. So you'll see like artists and writers kind of a theme with my favorite books of the year, which only makes sense, right? So yeah, Jenny Zero from Dark Horse. I have 2 Dark Horse books on my list. This would be the second. Jenny Zero, go pick it up. It's great. It's what happens if who doesn't give a fuck type girl had kaiju powers to fight monsters, and just a party girl became like the last hope for humanity. Well, that's Jenny Zero. All right, next up is probably my it's hard, man. Like between this and Orphan and the Five Beasts, it'd almost be a tie for my favorite book, but Darlin' from Source Point Press. This book was phenomenal. I love it. I love the story. I love the art. It's quality. Like every issue is just fantastic. There's something great in every issue. And the art holds up. Fantastic art. So anyone should go pick that up. It's a fantastic read. So Naughty, yes. This is I was greatly disappointed in this. I think it might not be a bad book. It's just I had expectations and it totally wasn't what I was hoping. I was hoping this was going to be more of a kind of style like Barbaric, Owen and his axe, where the gun was just going to be like this outlandish character with these great lines, but it wasn't that at all, and I was greatly disappointed. Doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad book. It's just it was probably one that I was the most disappointed with from 2021. So is Sam and His Talking Gun, which is a Scout book, I believe.
All
Yeah.
right then, fellas. That's some pretty good stuff, and we're sorry that it ran a little long this episode, but I think we kept it popping. I think we had a good time, but we're gonna go ahead and put a pin in it here,
Yeah.
just so everybody can have a Merry Christmas and we don't keep you up too late. But yeah, this was a total blast. I hope everybody has had a good, wonderful Christmas. And this is Pink Buzz, brought to you by Graphic Vandalism. And you know what that means. That means don't stop reading, don't stop watching awesome movies, and don't stop listening to excellent music. Until next time, which will be New Year's Eve. And I think we're going to do an open panel for that. We're just going to have fun and do whatever for that, me and Joe. So if you're down and you want to hop on, ask for the link, and you could probably be on with us. So yeah, that's going to be the next show. And until then, you have a good time and read Darling, because I'm going to read it tomorrow and have a good time.
Merry Christmas,
Die Hard is a
everyone.
Christmas movie.
Anybody that thinks it isn't deserves to read Scott Lobdell's Evil Ernie.